Hello there, and welcome to the 6th edition. We're broadcasting live from our studios here in Abuja on East Central TV. I'm Olukayode Egbetokun, and here are the top stories. Federal High Court grants bail to ex-AGF Malami, wife and son over alleged money laundering. 5 Oyo State National Park officers killed in suspected bandit raid. Guinea junta leader Doumbouya to be sworn in as president on January 17, 2026. We'll bring you details in a moment. The Federal High Court in Abuja has granted bail to former Attorney-General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami, alongside his wife and son, over alleged money laundering charges brought against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Justice Emeka Nwite in his ruling says the objections raised by the EFCC were not sufficient enough to deny the defendants bail. Our correspondent Joshua Imarayi reports.
After nearly 2 weeks in the custody of the Nigerian Correctional Service, former Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami, his son Abdulaziz Malami, and his fourth wife Asobe Bashir returned to court for the ruling on their bail application. The 3-0 standing trial of allegations of money laundering to the tune of 8.7 billion naira referred against them by the EFCC. Following the arrival of the judge and the commencement of proceedings, Justice Emeka Nwite moved straight to the business of the day. In his ruling, Justice Nwite stated that the primary consideration in granting or refusing bail pending trial is whether the defendants will make themselves available for trial and refrain from interfering with witnesses. The court held that the objections raised by the EFCC were not sufficient enough and consequently admitted the former Attorney General, his wife and son to bail in the sum of 500 million naira each, with 2 sureties in like sum. Justice Nwite further ruled that the sureties must own landed properties within Maitama, Asokoro, or Gwarimpa district of the Federal Capital Territory. The court directed that the property documents be verified by the Deputy Chief Registrar, while the sureties are also required to depose affidavits of means. The defendants were also ordered to deposit their international travel documents with the court and are barred from traveling outside the country without the express permission of the court. A member of the defense team reacted to the ruling.
We are comfortable with the bail conditions, and we are hopeful that within a reasonable time, we'll fulfill those bail conditions, and the defendants will be released and prepare for their defense. Yes.
After ruling on the bail application, Justice Emeka Nwite read the Riot Act to counsels and litigants alike, saying any attempt to undermine the court will not be tolerated. Justice Emeka Nwite says that any improper attempt to influence the court or undermine the law will be met with severe resistance and dealt with accordingly.
The court, however, adjourned proceedings until the 17th of February for the continuation of trial. In Abuja, from East Central, I am Joshua Imarayi.
Meanwhile, the Federal High Court has ordered the temporary forfeiture of 57 properties suspected to be linked to unlawful activities involving the former Attorney General Abubakar Malami. Justice Emeka Nwite made the order after hearing an ex parte motion filed by the EFCC and urged by its lawyer Ekele Ihanacho. An enrolled copy of the order seen on Wednesday shows the properties are located in Abuja, Kebbi, Kano, and Kaduna states. The court also directed the EFCC to publish the forfeiture notice in the national newspaper, inviting anyone with an interest in the properties to show cause why, within 14 days, why the assets should not be finally forfeited to the federal government. And on to politics. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar says he will not step down from the race for the African Democratic Congress presidential ticket. In a statement by his media advisor, Paul Ibe, Atiku accused the ruling All Progressives Congress of interfering in opposition politics ahead of the 2027 elections. The statement comes amid fresh opposition realignment, including the entry of former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi into the ADC, which has renewed calls for a southern presidential candidate. And in another development, the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has warned that Nigeria's democracy is under threat accusing the Tinubu administration of narrowing democratic space and weakening opposition parties. He says ongoing economic hardship and the concentration of power within the ruling APC could lead to a one-party dominance. Mr. Atiku described the weakening of the opposition platforms as a serious risk, noting that like-minded political actors have turned to the African Democratic Congress as an alternative. He also alleged interference in the ADC's internal affairs, including attempts to influence its presidential selection. Mr. Atiku says the party remains committed to inclusion, grassroots growth, and a transparent nomination process, stressing that Nigeria's democracy must be protected. Now, the African Democratic Congress, ADC, Nigeria's political scene has shifted sharply, with the African Democratic Congress now standing as the main home of a united opposition ahead of 2027. The party has brought together major figures like Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar, and Nasir El-Rufai, forming a strong third force. This push is backed by a new leadership lineup. Former Senate President David Mark as National Chairman, Rauf Aregbesola as National Secretary, and party founder Chief Ralph Nwosu as Chair of the Board of Trustees. With leaders such as Aminu Tambuwal and Eyine Abaribe joining in, the ADC has grown beyond a single party into a broad reform-minded coalition. But then, there are certain things that might be not going well with the ADC. Still, progress has come not without some trouble. Some members are in court seeking redress, and the party is quietly dealing with serious legal challenges. In Abuja, suit 1328 in 2000/2005 is attempting to remove David Mark as the chairman on constitutional grounds, while the former deputy chairman Nafiu Bala Gombe is fighting a rival claim for control. On top of that, the former lawmakers have filed a case arguing that the ADC should be deregistered for failing to meet constitutional benchmarks. From leadership battles in the capital to a breakdown in the state level in Kebbi, the ADC's rapid rise is now being tested by legal landmines that could affect its 2027 ambitions. Staying with the ADC, the African Democratic Congress has set up a 20-member committee on membership, mobilization, revalidation, and registration to strengthen the party and improve its internal unity. While inaugurating the committee, the national chairman, David Mark, said the move is aimed at revalidating current members, registering new ones, boosting grassroots presence, and harmonizing membership records nationwide ahead of the future political activities. The committee, co-chaired by Kashim Imam and Aisha Yusufu, will carry out a full membership revalidation exercise and submit an interim report to the party's National Working Committee within 30 days.
The terms of reference include, but not limited to, A, oversee the registration of new members nationwide and ensure their inclusiveness, transparency, and adherence to party guidelines and democratic principles. Develop and implement a nationwide membership mobilization strategy. Develop and implement a nationwide membership mobilization strategy with particular emphasis on the grassroots at the polling units, at the ward level, at local government and state levels.
That this is the first of the committees that you are inaugurating. It means that the assignment that you've entrusted to us is very serious. I want to assure you, sir, on behalf of all the members of the committee, that will not sleep, will not rest, will work 24/7. You see us mobilizing and registering members in the creeks, in the deserts, across the length and breadth of this country.
Well, while the ADC committee might be going ahead with its sleeping or not sleeping and registering members, some other things are happening in other parties. The former member who represented Jos South, Jos East Federal Constituency in the 9th National Assembly, Dachong Bagas, has dumped the People's Democratic Party for the All Progressives Congress in Plateau State. Bagas, at his vanguard in Vom District, Jos South Local Government Area, Plateau State, says his move is based on the ideologies of the leaders of the APC, which he believes will translate into improved dividends of democracy for citizens. News Central's Chizoba Anyongwe reports.
Letter of resignation from the People's Democratic Party.
Barely 3 days after Governor Caleb Mutfwang left the PDP for the APC, many other members of the party have also jumped ship, presenting their letters of resignation to their ward leaders to join the APC, saying it is for the benefit of the state. This time around, it is the turn of former lawmaker Dachung Bagos.
At this level, I tender my resignation.
Bagos maintains that President Bola Tinubu is deserving of support, especially in the areas of state policing, local government autonomy, amongst others.
When you have leaders that align with your ideology and have given you the sincerity of purpose, then you have no fear than to follow. Our past leaders have not been able to address the issue of state police. This is the first time that His Excellency, the President of Nigeria, Ahmed Bola Tinubu, has started the process of state police through the National Assembly.
The special advisor to Governor Mutfwang on political matters during the event where Bagos received his APC membership card says the move will benefit the party.
We've moved into the APC in good faith. We've moved into the APC to add value. We've moved into the APC so that Plateau State can fall under the category of states that will contribute a minimum of 1 million votes to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
With political activities gearing up for the 2027 general elections, one political analyst, Luka Pampe, gives his views on the defections ahead of the upcoming polls.
Let it produce a kind of credibility that will deliver on the mandate that the people have bestowed on the person. All these back and forth to quite an average person on the plateau, he will be interested in security, who is bringing security on the table, who is bringing the issue of welfare of the citizens on the table, who is bringing civil service reform on the table, who is also looking at education on the plateau, as it were.
Stakeholders present say they are expecting more defections in the coming days, especially by supporters of the governor. In Plateau State, for News Central, Chizoba Anyuwe.
We'll go from the Plateau to Imo State, where an ally of the governor has officially joined the All Progressives Congress, citing the governor's performance in office. Obinna Unebu said his decision to align with the ruling party reflects Governor Uzodima's commitment to good governance. He called for more support from the residents of Imo State to ensure continuity of development and political stability.
Over the years, I have supported candidates in various political parties, individual personalities that I believe that their thoughts and their aspirations align with my interests and the interests of my people. Clearly, because I've been an advocate of good governance. I have never played politics of bitterness. I have only been a critic. I have always advocated for things or infrastructure that should benefit my people. I have never been any political appointment. I have never gone for things in government that will personally benefit me. But my interest has always been my people. Being led by our distinguished governor, Hope Uzodima, that is delivering all these dividends. So why won't I fully, with my both chests, enter APC to support him in what he is doing? Parties these days is about performance. It's about the dividends of democracy. The personality involved in delivering this democracy. And our people must understand that the party is a vehicle that ushers in.
We'll take a moment, and when we'll come back, we'll be looking at critically all these dynamics, or political dynamics as the case may be. Please stay with us. Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, here's a recap of our top stories. Court grants bail to ex-Attorney-General of the Federation Malami, wife and son, over alleged money laundering. 5 Oyo State National Park officers killed in suspected bandit raid. And Guinea junta leader Dumbuya to be sworn in as president on January 17, 2026. Well, before we went on that break, we're looking at the political dynamics or switching of camp here and there and some of the intrigues going on in one of the political parties. To help us delve into all of this, I'm being joined by Dr. Lemi Uegbe, a civil rights activist. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
I really don't know where to start. Now, for one who fights for accountability, who advocates for transparency, would you say the Nigerian political space has seen any level of accountability and transparency? I mean, in the face of the movement we are seeing right now.
Well, generally, you would say that the average Nigerian politician, those virtues are alien to the average Nigerian politicians. The average Nigerian politician does not want to be called out to account for his acts, for his deeds, or for his promises. And that's rubbing off on the political space. We have people who are defecting. Yes, there are circumstances that you cannot rule out that will make it germane to defect. But again, when the defection is moving from the opposition party straight to the ruling party, it tells you that the average Nigerian politician is a food is ready politician. They are not ready to build the opposition. And no democracy will thrive if the opposition is not built, if the opposition is not strengthened, if the opposition is not allowed to function.
But you do know that for instance, the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has accused the ruling party of deliberately orchestrating this movement from the opposition parties into the ruling party by interfering, by creating stumbling blocks here and there, even legal battles to that extent.
Well, why you cannot dismiss the allegation made by the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and several other people? Almost every politician who is not in the ruling party is saying the same thing. You cannot dismiss it with a wave of the hand. There is some iota of, truth in it, but you would also know that the reason it's so easy that the ruling party is successfully luring or negotiating for opposition party members to jump ship and join them is because, again, most of them are just politicians who are guided by the principle of stomach infrastructure. Lots of them cannot just survive in the opposition. They were in the ruling party at that time, PDP, which ruled for 16 years. And so it was a good time. Now they are meant to be in the opposition. They cannot even stay 4 years in the opposition. So it's again about the quality of the average Nigerian politician. Okay. Because look, nobody can really turn your, tear up your structure or your house, come ransack it and mess it up if there are no willing people within the system. So you find that the people who have helped to actually weaken the opposition parties are still members of the opposition party who are, members of opposition party in daytime, and at night they are members of. In fact, now they are no longer hiding it. Somehow they just even want to announce very easily that they belong to the APC because that is where their bread is buttered.
While some are still in their political party but declaring support for the APC.
Yes, and all of that stems, and specifically we're talking, we know one who is the minister of the FCT, you know, very a performing minister, but of course is neither here nor there when it comes to political alignment. He's totally sold to the Tinubu second term elections.
But let's leave the political parties themselves and come look at the electorate.
Yeah.
What's the mindset? What do you think is the mindset? I mean, you are a civil society person, so of course you talk to the electorate quite often. What's the mood of the electorate in all of this movement? I mean, we've seen we told two stories earlier. In Jos Plateau and then in Imo State, people who, one was a civil rights activist in Imo State, says a civil rights activist, one that advocates for good governance, but he has moved down to the All Progressives Congress.
What's the mood of the nation? What's the mood of the masses? What's the mood of the average Nigerian? Nigerians are still traumatized by the quality of the elections conducted in 2023. General elections.
2 years after?
Yes, they are still traumatized because, one, there's not been admission by the leader of the country, the president, that something was wrong with the elections. It's my candid view that the president and commander-in-chief ought to have taken a leave from late President Umar Musa Yar'Adua, who was candid enough, who was humble enough in victory to say the elections that brought me in were fraught with irregularities. He therefore flagged off electoral reforms, but of course, that took him, you know, at the beginning, he didn't even stay long. We know, I argue it that, yes, it is possible that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu would have won that election fair and square. It's possible. But I think that the conduct of INEC of that election actually robbed him of the joy of a more, you know, well-conducted elections. It robbed him of, no matter how he tries to shake it off, you cannot argue it. Nigerians were depressed for weeks. Yes, those who support the current president were excited, but generally we all knew the truth that you cannot conduct two elections the same time, the National Assembly elections and the presidential election. And the INEC chairman at that time had made all promises that they were going to, IREV was going to work, they were going to upload elections results real time. It was only when it came to that particular day that they could upload the National Assembly elections and the presidential election was not uploaded in the name of glitch. They were held the same time. And so the uploading was just as you are casting your vote, is supposed to be running. So how come glitch held the presidential votes that the vote I cast for the president, while it allowed the ones for National Assembly? Look, that election was tainted. And because the president has never been humble enough to and forthright enough to admit that, and because he has not, we have really not done anything about electoral reform. We are supposed to make the issues of IREV, the issues of election results being uploaded real time to make it. They are ongoing. Where is the National Assembly? When are they going to go through the process, then pass it and get the president to assent? Remember that Buhari, at his own way, Buhari of blessed memory, when it was his turn, when they had passed it on to Buhari at his time, he said, look, this was too short between the election time, and now that you are bringing it, we will not. When will this National Assembly finish the process? So these are the things that dampen the morale of the Nigerian people. They believe that there is an institutional conspiracy not to make votes count, and that is the concern. And so I want to think that there will be even much more apathy, especially given the fact that we are just seeing that opposition parties are just crumbling as packs of cards. The ruling party is strengthening. Legal logjam for PDP, ADC is fighting to survive and all that. and we do not have the electoral laws yet to strengthen it. By now, we should have gotten the electoral law reformed and passed. So it leaves you, except you are just being very Pentecostal, that look, with the speed of lightning or with the speed with which they reversed the national anthem, they could do that. But the electoral reform is such a serious matter that it takes time, it needs time. And we do not have that time. And we do not also have a president with the will, the political will to say, look, today, if the president goes to the polls with the votes counting, the president has been able to win a lot of other support. Where he did not have support before, he has a lot of support from those bases. Then he has how many governors already? Some are still looking for how to come over to. So why don't you reform it so that if eventually you win a second term, it will become something of joy. You will have more joy in winning in the manner you will win this time than what we had before.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Lemi Ugebe. He's a civil rights activist. Thank you for coming in this evening.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Now, let's talk a bit of security. Tragedy struck in Oyo State Tuesday night as suspected bandits killed 5 National Park Service personnel in Oloka. Armed men stormed the facility around 9 p.m., engaging officers in a deadly shootout before retreating. The Oyo State Police spokesperson, Ayonlade Olayinka, confirmed the assault, noting that bodies are still being recovered from the forest. The State Commissioner of Police, Femi Haruna, has deployed tactical teams and explosive units to secure the volatile area. The attack near the vast forest reserve has sparked fresh panic amongst residents. It highlights the growing vulnerability of remote government facilities as banditry spreads into Nigeria's southwest region. In the meantime, in Katsina State, a peace deal with local bandits that had held for 3 months has been violently broken. On Monday night, heavily armed attackers stormed 3 communities in Malumfashi local government area, operating for hours and causing widespread damage. This has renewed fear among the residents and raised fresh concerns about security in the area. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, Olukayode Egbetokun, has approved the posting of a newly promoted Deputy Inspector General of Police and 17 Commissioners of Police to key commands nationwide. According to a statement by the police spokesperson Benjamin Hundeyin, the redeployment is meant to strengthen operations, improve leadership, and boost public safety. Deputy Inspector General of Police Mohammed Gumel will head the Force Intelligence Department. Among the commissioners, Aina Adeshola has been posted to Delta State, Umar Hajedia to Kebbi, and Iyama Edobo to Bayelsa, while others have been assigned to key units including anti-human trafficking, marine, special inquiries, community policing, and police colleges in Kaduna and Ikeja. In the meantime, the Coalition of Nigeria's Civil Societies Against Terrorism has called for the redeployment of the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matalawale, saying it would boost public confidence in the fight against terrorism. Speaking at a press briefing in Abuja, the group said the call follows recommendations from an assessment report on Nigeria's counterterrorism efforts by the United World Congress of Diplomats and International Security Experts. They stressed that the call is based on national interest, not politics, adding that effective security operations require trust and credibility.
Across the country, Nigerians have continued to express fear, not because they doubt the resolve of the armed forces, but because they are worried that the internal weaknesses could compromise the operational successes. As members of this coalition, we believe that the continued stay of the Minister of State for Defense in the ministry has become a growing concern of public anxiety. In our view, his redeployment is long overdue. Nigerians are calling for redeployment not out of malice. They are speaking out because they do not want anything to happen to the ongoing war against terrorism. We must emphasize at this point that Nigerian people are afraid, not of the military, but of what could go wrong if caution is ignored. We are of the view that redeploying Bello Matawale to another ministry will not amount to condemnation. Rather, it will be a preventive confidence, building decisions that strengthen the war against terrorism.
Away from security matters to tax issues, Kogi State has joined the list of states implementing Nigeria's new tax reforms, a policy the government insists will ease collection, close loopholes, and reduce pressure on citizens. But as the reforms begin to bite, businesses, public servants, and residents are already asking tough questions about fairness, accountability, and impact. News Central's Mono Balagbogo reports.
As the new tax reforms take effect in Kogi State, many residents are adjusting to how the taxes and levies are being collected, while state authorities say that the tax reform will simplify the system and end multiple taxation. Residents are watching closely to see how this affects their daily lives and their finances.
The tax is to simplify where we do things before. So it's not going to be a burden, it's going to be a blessing to all of us.
It's equitable, it's efficient, and it's very transparent. It's a tax law that will help the poor and to make money for the state.
However, beyond policy assurances, attention is turning to how effectively the reforms will be implemented.
The new law is saying that any citizen whose personal income is not above 800,000 per annum is exempted from tax. The question is, how much is the new minimum wage? 70,000 times 12. You have 84,000. Invariably, nobody is exempted from tax.
If you have to implement everything according to what they are saying, you discover so many businesses may go underground. And these are the things that the government is supposed to encourage and to come afloat.
Meanwhile, concerns are also being raised about compliance.
There's an evidence that I pay my tax every month from the deduction. But this political office holder, which are part of the government of the country, of the state, of the local government, how are they able to reach them?
Some traders say they are already feeling the effects through bank charges on transfers, despite businesses not being taxed on every bank transfer they receive under the Nigerian Tax Act 2025.
Actually, it really affects me because some of my customers, they are not enlightened about it. When I just call the account number for them, the next thing they just send the money without even putting in action. And there's no way I can say, Madam, come and pay this 20%. So I just let go of it.
So now that they are bringing this tax regime now, it simply means the average man will ask more questions. It brings in more money. We want to see the money. We want to see the roads.
But as to whether the tax reform will better the lot of the average person, it might increase the taxes and revenues of government, but I don't see light at the end of the tunnel that will have basic amenities because of the payment of taxes. I don't think so.
With implementation on the way, residents say compliance is not enough. They want better roads, healthcare, and public services. Whether these tax reforms deliver relief or burden will depend on transparency, accountability, and translating taxes into development. In Kogi for News Central, Mono Balagbogo.
Guinea's junta leader Mamadi Doumbouya will be sworn in as president on January 17, 2026, following his victory in the December 28th presidential election. The presidency announced the inauguration date in a social media post, saying the ceremony will hold at the General Lansana Conte Stadium in Conakry. Doumbouya, who came to power in the 2021 military takeover, had earlier pledged not to contest elections, but later entered the race and secured a decisive win. Guinea's Supreme Court has validated the result, clearing the way for his transition from military leadership to an elected presidency. And Burkina Faso government says it has foiled a plot targeting the life of its leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. The regime accuses former interim president, Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry Sandaogo Damiba, of orchestrating the attempt from exile in Togo. Authorities say the plot aimed to destabilize the country following Traoré's rise to power in September 2022.
C'est l'occasion pour moi de féliciter et de saluer le travail fort appréciable des services de renseignement. Grâce à leur professionnalisme, le Burkina Faso a déjoué le 3 janvier 2026 à 23h. Il était prévu une action de déstabilisation du pays. Cela allait se faire par une série d'assassinats ciblés des autorités civiles et militaires, en commençant par la neutralisation du camarade capitaine Ibrahim Traoré, chef de l'État, président du Faso, soit à bout portant, soit par une action pour miner son domicile.
From there, let's go on to the Gambia, where the authorities are warning migrants to avoid risky sea route after a boat attempting to reach Spain was forced to return. The vessel carrying dozens of passengers began taking on water shortly after leaving port. Everyone on board reached the shore safely with no injuries reported. Authorities have launched an investigation into the incident and are reiterating warnings about the dangers of irregular sea crossings. Still ahead, allies advance Ukraine security plan. We'll bring you details of that in a moment. Stay with us. Western allies say progress has been made on security guarantees for Ukraine as the U.S. and European leaders step up coordination on what a post-war settlement could look like. Talks will continue on Wednesday between Washington and Kiev, but any guarantees would only come into force if Russia agrees to a ceasefire. News Central's senior international correspondent Afia Hagen has this report.
U.S. and Ukrainian officials are set to resume talks on Wednesday over long-term security guarantees for Kiev following a major diplomatic push in Paris. The talks come after the largest meeting yet of the so-called Coalition of the Willing, bringing together leaders and envoys from 35 countries. Western allies say progress has been made on how Ukraine would be protected after any ceasefire with Russia, including a US-led monitoring mechanism and a European multinational force on the ground. But those guarantees would only take effect once fighting stops in the nearly 4-year war sparked by Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022, and President Vladimir Putin's intentions remain unclear. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky confirmed further talks with Washington, thanking the US for what he called its readiness to act as a security backstop. French President Emmanuel Macron said the United States would lead a ceasefire monitoring system with European participation, calling the proposed guarantees robust and essential for a lasting peace. Macron, Zelensky and UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer signed a declaration of intent, paving the way for Britain, France and other allies to deploy troops inside Ukraine after a ceasefire. A joint US-Ukraine coalition coordination cell will also be set up in Paris. However, a draft promised that Washington would actively support European forces in the event of a renewed Russian attack did not appear on the final communique. The US envoy said progress had been made, adding that land and territorial issues, including Russian demands over eastern Ukraine, remain the most critical obstacle. Despite diplomatic momentum, there has been no let-up in fighting in what remains Europe's deadliest conflict since World War II. For News Central, I'm Afia Hagen.
And the White House says President Donald Trump is exploring multiple options to acquire Greenland amidst strategic concerns in the Arctic. Officials cite Greenland's strategic location as a priority for U.S. national security. The prospect has drawn pushback from Denmark and European allies who affirm Greenland's sovereignty under international law. Greenlandic leaders are urging dialogue based on mutual respect, and public opposition remains quite strong. U.S. officials say diplomatic alternatives, including a potential purchase or special association, are also under consideration. Meanwhile, Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has criticized reported U.S. threats to Greenland's territorial integrity, vowing that his government will not remain silent. Speaking in Paris after a meeting with Ukraine's coalition of the willing, Sanchez called the reported U.S. actions unacceptable and a violation of international law. He warned that such moves undermine global legal norms and could threaten international stability.
Como tampoco podemos aceptar que se amenace explícitamente la integridad territorial de un Estado europeo, como es el caso de Dinamarca. No podemos aceptarlo, no lo vamos a hacer como país, como gobierno. No nos vamos a callar ante violaciones que se están produciendo en el derecho internacional y que, por desgracia, cada vez son más recurrentes. Y, por tanto, España no va a ser cómplice de tal atropello. Nosotros...
And Venezuela's interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, has rejected claims that her government is under foreign control, pushing back against assertions by the United States amid ongoing tensions. Speaking in Caracas, Rodriguez insisted that Venezuela remains in charge of its own affairs, dismissing suggestions that a foreign power is governing the country. She said there is no foreign agent running Venezuela, affirming its sovereignty even as the United States asserts influence over the nation's oil sector. Her remarks come days after U.S. President Donald Trump announced plans for Venezuela to transfer millions of barrels of oil to the U.S. and signaled Washington's intention to exert broader influence following the capture of former leader Nicolas Maduro.
Maduro declaraba ante un tribunal que es un prisionero de guerra. Y se declaraban como lo que son, inocentes, personas decentes que fueron injustamente quebrantada su protección inmunitaria como jefe de Estado y, bueno, vulnerado por completo las leyes internacionales y las leyes de Venezuela.
And let's go on to sports. Nigeria's Super Eagles have put their AFCON 2025 campaign at risk ahead of their quarterfinal clash with Algeria after a report that players and coaching staff are yet to receive outstanding win bonuses. According to sources, allowances from victories over Tanzania, Tunisia, Uganda, and Mozambique remain unpaid. The situation could halt preparations, with the squad prepared to boycott training and refuse to travel to Marrakech on Thursday unless the issue is resolved. The stand-up has raised concerns over focus and logistics at a crucial stage of the tournament. Officials are now under pressure to settle the payments swiftly to avoid derailing Nigeria's push for a fourth continental title. Our correspondent Udoka Njoku is now joining us for more updates. Udoka.
Yeah, good evening, Delta.
Good evening. So Marrakech or Fez, which one do you prefer?
Well, so far so good. Marrakech is beautiful and the weather is favorable for us here. It is way better than Fez, but we're awaiting the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
So what's the latest on the situation of the unpaid bonuses? Any efforts so far?
Right, it is quite sad what we're hearing so far. It is confirmed story now that the Super Eagles are not yet traveling to Marrakech because of unpaid allowances. And we keep wondering why we have to find ourselves in this type of situations. This is a tournament which the Super Eagles are hoping to win. And I was believing that the NFF are going to do everything that they can to ensure that the players are happy up until the finals of this tournament. Hopefully we get to win it. But so far so good. Nothing, no updates on the NFF. But I'm sure that the Super Eagles will still travel tomorrow and it will be resolved and they'll be in Marrakech. There's supposed to be a media parley tomorrow, and on Friday we have a press conference with the player and captain, and then they will train on Friday evening ahead of their game on Saturday. But so far so good. No updates from the camp except being owed allowances.
We know that there are NFF officials in the team. I mean, on the entourage. So are they not saying anything, or they're waiting for the leadership to speak from Nigeria?
Yeah, definitely. Of course, if the leader doesn't say anything, then none of the officials will be able to say. But I'm sure they're rallying around. The last we heard from them is that they're rallying around to ensure that everything works according to plan for the players and to also ensure that they travel tomorrow. So I'm sure they're on top of the situation.
Let me ask you just this one more question, because there's one other question I want to ask you about the mood of the team. I mean, one would expect that, seeing that they are on course, it's like a roller coaster. I mean, they are on course, they've won all their games. I mean, one would think that the boys will just focus. You know what? Let's allow these officials to carry on with their shenanigans. Let's focus and win this game, and then we can answer, you see this trophy, we're not giving it to you until you get all our money. Couldn't that have been a better way to go about this threat?
Well, you can say that, but I mean, these players deserve their wages.
Yeah.
Whatever work they've done so far, they deserve 100% of their wages. So they have no reason to be owed any part of their allowances. They deserve everything that they've worked for so far. So I don't think they should be in a position of work. I'm sure they'll be down by now, but looking forward to the game against Algeria. I believe the Super Eagles have what it takes to get that victory against Algeria. But so far, so good, especially with the Victor Osimhen situation and also a lot of distracting stories on social media. It doesn't speak well, but I'm sure the boys are looking ahead of that game against Algeria.
I was going to ask you that about the Victor Osimhen situation. First of all, you of course you watched the game. What led to that outburst? I mean, the one on the field. What led to that?
Yeah, for Victor Osimhen, we all know he's the fighter. He wants to score goals, and he's not happy that he hasn't scored more than the goals he has scored so far in this tournament. But all he complained about on the pitch that day was the balls were not getting to him. And he wasn't talking to, for that particular video, he wasn't talking to Ademola Lookman in particular. He was talking to Bruno Onyemaechi. And then Ademola Lookman tried to talk to him to calm him down, and erupted into Victor Osimhen shunning Ademola Lookman as well as the captain Wilfred Ndidi, and that led to him losing his guards and saying he doesn't want to play anymore. But the rumors about him wanting to leave camp, dropping his accreditation, they are false. As at 12 hours ago, Osimhen is still with the boys in camp, and if they are traveling tomorrow to Marrakech, Victor Osimhen will be there. And during the training, I'm sure we'll get to see Victor Osimhen, and we'll get a video and show evidence that Victor Osimhen is indeed in training. But of course, what happened on the field of play that day, the coach also said, whatever happens on the field of play remains there. They've settled it and they've moved along.
But that was quite disrespectful, especially for their captain and his teammate. Did he apologize to them? Did you get that news that he apologized to them for his outburst? Howbeit he was complaining, but did he apologize for walking off the pitch and not talking to anybody?
Well, during the media parley, Victor Osimhen refused to speak to anybody in the mixed zone. And afterwards, we saw Ademola Lookman, and we asked him the same question. He said, "Look, Victor Osimhen is his big brother. They've settled it in the changing room, in the dressing room, and they've all moved on. But we're waiting for an official apology from Victor Osimhen, which I believe that he will still come out to apologize to the team. If he doesn't do that today, tomorrow, I'm sure on Friday we'll get that report out that Victor Osimhen has indeed apologized to the media, to his teammates, and to the whole of Nigeria."
All right. Thank you so much, Udoka. Thank you. And I'm glad you're keeping warm. Hope to hear from you soon about the updates on what's going on there. Thank you again.
Thank you very much for having me.
And that's it on the 6th edition for today, with a recap of the major stories. We told you earlier about some things like this, like the ex-Attorney-General of the Federation, Malami, wife and son have been granted bail over alleged money laundering. Also, that 5 Oyo State National Park officers have been killed in suspected bandit raids. We also told you that the Guinea junta leader, Doumbouya, will be sworn in as president come January 17, 2026. Let's hear from you. Send us your messages. Send it to the WhatsApp number showing on your screen. And then follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV on all social media platforms at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, StarTimes channel 274, Able TV, and YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again tomorrow. I'm Neota Igbe.